a stew, and her name is Minerva. Ouch! She's the flower of the flower. Ouch!
Welcome to the show.
Don't start! We haven't left yet!
Hello. This intro isn't as long. I want like a 5-minute intro so I can just kind of because I'm never quite ready when the intro is done and I'm supposed to go live. I'm never quite ready. You'd think after all these years I'd be ready, but I never am. Welcome everybody. You are watching Comics, Cryptids, and Cannonballs, your favorite Sunday show. At least I hope it is. Lots of exciting, good things going on today on this show. You know, the thing about grandkids is they go play with other little kids, get sick, you go to babysit, and then you get sick. So I've got a very, very minor low-grade sort of cold thing going on here. So my voice is a little scratchy. Plus, I just got off the phone with David Williams, having a lengthy conversation with him. And I thought, okay, I just talked to you for an hour. Now I got to go on for another 2 hours. Is my voice going to last? We shall see if it actually does or not. Lots of interesting things happening, as they always are around here. We saw a post from the legendary Kelsey Shannon, so he's still alive. And but I have not heard from him personally, so I can only hope, Kelsey, if you're watching, that you will come back to Graybeards at some point here in the not too distant future and draw with us some more. But anyway, so don't ask me anything. I don't know anything else other than what he posted on Twitter. So we know he's still out there, and but hasn't reached out to me yet. So there you go. All righty. Let's see who's here, shall we? I'd like to also point out that I started the show a couple minutes early. So once again, I'm not late. I'm early, and I think I should be commended for that. Thank you very much. Okay. So Stealth X5 is here. Creative Faye joining us. Says she's doing her part in spreading the word of Barbaric Adventures. I appreciate that, Creative Faye. I need everyone to help put it out there. And we're slowly, regularly getting more backers, which is great. But as the campaign's closing out in, I think, 16 days or something, so a little more than 2 weeks, we got to start cooking. So I'll be sending out email blasts to my 2,300 people I have on my email list, and maybe get a few more of those to jump in and back this project. I do have some new art to share. I'm going to be very cautious, though. It's like, I want to share new art, but I'm like, should I share new art? Should I give away too much? So, I'm like every other artist. I finish something, I want to show everybody, but then it's like, well, okay, if I show you every page, then it's, so I have to be cautious. But anyway, we'll get to that in a little bit. Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is always here. And of course, that reminds me, is Creative Faye and Leg Kick both being people from the state of Washington. I would say the great state of Washington, but we know that's not true. that I will be attending. It has been verified and confirmed. I will be attending SummerCon this year. That is Father's Day weekend of all times. June 19th, 20th, and 21. So I will be there. My daughter is ticked off because she's going to be at a dance, 2-week dance intensive, and will not be available to go with me. And she likes to go and hang out in the green room and meet celebrities while I'm slaving away at my table. But kids, what are you going to do? She's hardly a kid. She's going to be 25 this year. That's just shocking to me. But anyway, so I may be absolutely flying solo. My son is going to be on a camping trip with his family, and a lot of times he'll show up. But it is appearing that I will be flying solo, which got to do what you got to do, man. So, but anyway, I will be there, providing nothing drastic, changes, and I don't get hit by a car or something between now and then. Pantheon is here, sending out his greetings and salutations. Michelle Bowers, she is here, sword in hand, no doubt. Pity Ma, thanks for joining us. Overlord is joining us. Corey Landis. Aaron, he says, one of the better parts of the internet. Thank you for that, Corey, because that was one of the things I was griping to. I called David Williams up and just gripe. I'm sure he's sick of it. Every time the phone rings, he's like, oh, Lord, Aaron's going to be complaining about something. Just the crap on the internet. Let's just leave it at that. I mean, and it's very widespread. But here in this chat, and on Graybirds too, we have a really good audience, and I appreciate you guys because you're almost all very civil and friendly. And so I appreciate that. But man, you sometimes just want to turn off the old internet and to go bye-bye. It's so difficult to do that, though, especially when you're pushing a campaign like I am, or you're promoting yourself or your work. It's such a great tool for that, but it's also such a tool for abuse and mental distress. I tell you. Anyway, okay, so then Gemini Dragon's here. He says, hopefully it'll be as great as Professionals was last week. That was a really good show. I don't think it's going to be that good. I mean, this is more of an entertainment variety show. We don't really get into deep topics. And it just so happened that in Professionals last week, we were talking about something that all of us knew something about in great detail because we'd all have worked in the mainstream comic industry for 30 plus years. So we have that experience, and that really fed right into the conversation about should artists be more prominently featured? When were they? How did they lose their grip? Should they come back? And then what makes a good comic? And should it be an organic thing? Should we be pushing artists and writers? Or should we just say, hey, here's this great Batman book, check it out. And then the artists and writers get acclaim because it's good. So there was all these things but it was a very interesting show. And I hosted it right here on this channel. So I'm proud of that. Let's see, where are we at? Best Age Comics is here. Darren Wagner says he does miss Kelsey. Yeah, I do too. He's very entertaining. He was great. He was a great YouTube presence. Despite all the controversy or, back and forth fighting with, whoever and whatever, we do enjoyed, Kelsey, and he's a good dude, and he's an excellent artist, and we miss him on Graybirds for sure. And if he does come back, we'll just fit him right in, and there'll be 5 of us instead of just 4 of us, which should probably make it even a better show. So hope springs eternal that Sasquatch will return to us. Marcus Kilger is here, purveyor of all things pop culture knowledge. Super Masterminds joining us. Gemini Dragon says, nice Trailblazer shirt, go Thunder. I have kind of tapped out on the Blazers. I know they're in the playoffs and they play, I think today, they play San Antonio. which I'm sure they're going to get beat. But I have not really followed them the last 2 years very closely. I mean, I keep an eye on the scores and stuff, but I don't think I've watched a game. Just probably because I don't know that I have any of my streaming services carry the games. So I've just kind of, and they haven't been good. This year they made the playoffs, so they're good enough, but so maybe I'll get interested again. We shall see. There's Phil Diaz. Thanks for joining us, Phil. Let's see who else we got here. Creative Face says, I got permission from the mods to post Barbaric Adventures in the Cerebus fan group. How about that? You have proven popular there so far. Well, thank you for that, Creative Face. We appreciate all that hard work in making the campaign more successful. Marcus Killer says, fly me out. I'm a pro at hanging out with the professionals. That's what I understand, is that you are. All you guys are on the East Coast. If I was on the East Coast, I'd be doing all these shows with you guys. I would. But flying cross country seems like such a monumental chore. And I have to be gone so long. Even going to San Diego this year is going to be difficult. I mean, hopefully, it depends what kind of shape Shelly's in. I mean, I've got to go, obviously, because I have so much money invested in that show that I have to go. But my mom's health and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of difficult to get away for a long period of time. And even if I do go like San Diego for 5 days, at least I'm a 2-hour flight away if I had to come home in an emergency situation where not so easy cross country. So those are some of the things that unfortunately keep me from the East Coast. And my just grumpiness and just lack of interest in traveling is, I did it so much when I was younger. I mean, so much. And it was all East Coast stuff. I have no desire. I don't even know what to say. Darren Wagner for 2 big ones says, I look forward to your stream every week. Well, hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Matthew Muma is here. Let's see. Super Mastermind's talking about how much money manga's making. Oh, I know that. A lot more than I'm making. Maybe I need to just go manga. Screw it all. Just go manga. Darren Wagner. See, look at Darren Wagner is purposely trying to get under my skin by bringing up really crappy comic book characters and pushing them on me. Let's see. How about Ultra, the multi-alien? I don't even know who that is. James has been pumping up me and Dan Lawless to Titan Comics about getting us to do some work. I've heard nothing. Again, the story is they approached me 3 years ago now at San Diego about doing Conan work. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And so then when I got back from San Diego, I reached out to them again and they said, yeah, they sent me fill out this W-2 and give me all this, and I gave them all the information ready to go, sent it to them. They said, hey, thanks, we got it. Never heard from them again. So I don't know. I have no idea even what to say about it. Pity Ma says, hey, sir, your show starts my weekend and then Graybeard starts my work week. So Wednesday is the first day of your work week. And so you work all the way through. Interesting. What strange job do you have, Pity Ma? Are you a nurse, maybe? Don't know. Interesting. Marilith is here. Gemini Dragon, anywhere on the CG? Not that I've heard recently, no. No, I said I probably should, that I could make some money, but I will not. In Japan, comics come from vending machines and people throw them away after they're done reading them. It's beautiful. Well, I hope they recycle them. Come on now. All righty, let's get this show rolling now that we've identified all the players. I tried to adjust my my media assets is what it's called, my clips and everything, so that they're a little bit more organized. But now it's like you redo something, and now I can't remember where I put them. But you know what? Let's do something I don't normally do anymore, but I just happened to go to Trader Joe's the other day. So
let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
So I got these dark chocolate covered raisins, which of course we all know that's fruit and dark chocolate. So it's the ultimate health food snack. But I also scored these Brookie caramel candy clusters. Does that seem healthy to you? They have 110 calories per serving, and that's 2 pieces. So if I were to have one of these pieces, it would only be 50 calories. That's hardly anything, right? Because you're supposed to have 2,000 calories a day or something. So this is only 50 calories. So, so it's got chocolate, caramel. There's a little diagram back here. Chocolate chip cookie pieces, crispy brownie pieces, sea salt, dark chocolate because it's healthy, kettle cooked caramel. But what's this? It's this white crunchy stuff. It doesn't really identify. Is that the chocolate chip cookie pieces? I guess it is. All of that delight, 50 calories. You gotta be kidding me. I could eat a whole bag. I won't though. Because it's disgusting to eat. It's disgusting to eat on camera. And yep. Does that really stop me? No. Now, wait a minute. Jaron Wagner says, when I was a kid, my favorite candy bar was Chunky, which had raisins in it. Now, Chunky, isn't that big, thick, white? I don't even know what it was. But it was like white candy. And it was kind of bendy and pulley. And it had something in it. But was it raisins? Or am I thinking of something else? Was Chunky something else? Overlord says rated out of 10. 7.5. I mean, it's not the best thing I've ever had, but it's good. There you go, 7.5. Oh, okay, yeah. They were those big blocks of chocolate, but they had raisins in them? Maybe I never got the ones with raisins, because then they have ones with nuts in them, and then they just had the plain ones, right? Or am I just like, am I making this up? I don't know. But I do remember those big, thick, chunky bars. Yeah. What was that white stuff? Was that a Big Chew or something? What were those? You remember? You know what I'm talking about? They had something in them, like nuts, or I don't know. It wasn't nuts. I can't remember what it was, but it was this big white thing, and like, no, it wasn't taffy. I don't even know what it was. There you go. Jaron Wagner says, yeah, Chunky had plain peanuts and also raisins. Does anybody know what this white thing was that I ate? Anyone? eBay does sell 30-year-old candy bars for $200. You know, we used to have a shop not far from here, like 2 miles, called Rocket Blast. And they had all those old candy bars. But they were, I mean, they weren't like 30 years old, but they were, someone is manufacturing them, right? And, but they would have like old style candy stuff that we used to get when we were kids in there. And then they went out of business. I guess I was me and my daughter were the only ones going in there. I have no idea. No, it wasn't the Charleston Chew, because the Charleston Chew was that big, that was the thing that was like braided, right? And it was chocolate covered, but it was caramel, and it was like that long. I'm really getting myself in trouble. I need to know. It says, was it a Nestle milk bar? That doesn't sound right, though. I guess nobody in this chat is old enough to know what the heck I'm talking about. Was it the Big Chew? Was it? I can't remember. But it was like, yeah, it was like, it was like this. But it was white. Like taffy, like, excuse me. That's really drive me crazy now because I can't remember. I didn't get it very much because I was a chocolate guy, but every once in a while somebody had one. And you'd bite into it and you just pull it like this, and it was just big hunk. Thank you. That's it. Woo! Dale A comes through. The big hunk. That's exactly what it was. Oh my gosh, Gemini Dragon says it wasn't around in 1600, Aaron. It wasn't that long ago. No, it is big hunk. That's what it was. See, I knew it was like chunk or hunk or something like that. I knew it was something like that. So there we go. The big hunk. I kind of feel like I should look it up. Okay, here we go. Yes. Okay. Did I just freeze? Probably. But anyway, here it is. Okay. So it was, excuse me. This is what it looked like. This big hunk bar. So it had this is what I remember it looking like. This one right here. But it was white like this with nuts in it, I guess, right? Peanuts, I guess. Like this. This is what it looked like, right? Like that. That's it. It's low fat and gluten-free. And it had like broken up nuts in it. And it was like white taffy or something. I don't even know what that is. What does it say? Roasted peanuts. I can't really read what that says. But that's it. There it is. The big hunk bar. Because you demanded it. Okay, there we go. Gemini Dragon. Aaron likes a big hunk. See, I can't talk about anything on this show. Stealth X5 for $2 says hello. Thank you, Stealth. Appreciate it. That reminds me. So everybody that, let's see, Brian, one of the Brians bought that Johnny Quest piece from King's last Monday. Stealth and Meteor Pegasus both stuck in over $500 worth of super chats on Graybeards. And so they both got 2 pieces of artwork from me, and I sent those off. So all the artwork is off and on its way. And Stealth gets to pick the topic. Got it, my voice. Let me minute, last 2 hours. Stealth gets to pick the topic for Graybeards this coming week, which he's threatening to be something anime or maybe just anime in general. I don't know, but we will find out. So yeah, Stealth, I need you to message me tomorrow and let me know what you're planning, and then I can announce it officially. Big puke bar. In a lot of ways, yeah, it does kind of look like them. Sequential James says, if I wanted to see old people sitting around talking about food, I'd read a modern Marvel comic. It's good. James has his own channel. If you don't watch him, I'm sure it's remarkably wild and entertaining. Super Mastermind asks the question that we all have been pondering. He says, if a superhero got his temporary powers from a candy bar and they sold a version of it to the public, what would it be called? Interesting. Spaceman says that he, wait a minute, I just hit the wrong one. There it is. Hi, hail Aaron, late because I was watching Kings playoff hockey. That seems to be a little bit of baseball, but mostly hockey seems to be the comic fan sport that I've seen, at least in chats, people talk the most about. I'm not a hockey guy, probably because we only have a minor league team here. I did go to hockey matches. I don't like watching hockey on TV, but I could watch it on live, and it's actually pretty enjoyable. We used to go watch hockey when I was in high school a lot. My dad, because my dad was a sports fanatic, and he would drag me to everything, and so we'd go and watch hockey, which actually I enjoyed. But I've been a basketball and football fan, the basics for most of my life. A little bit of baseball here and there. I played baseball up until I think I dropped out in junior high because I was like going out there in 80 to 90 plus degree weather and standing out in the field for long periods of time was not my idea of a good time. So it was, so I kind of relegated my time to basketball and football, even though I never played tackle football because I was always afraid I'd end up getting hurt and not be able to play basketball. So anyway, there you go. Marcus Kilger watching the Yankees game right now. What do they got? They haven't started the regular season yet, have they? I mean, this has still got to be like spring stuff, right? Whatever. Okay, we're not here to talk sports. I'm about to sneeze though, and I'm trying to fight it off. All right, let's get this show started, and we can start it with one of my favorite segments. I don't know if it's yours or not, but you got to watch it anyway. And no, it's not a big hunk candy bar. It is actually one of the great covers, not only great covers of the Golden Age, but one of the great covers all time. I'm, of course, talking about Detective Comics number 31. Now, this is a 7.0. The problem with this book is, look at that cover. It doesn't change hands that much, so it's really difficult on some of these higher grade copies to get an accurate current price. Now, this is 64 pages of thrill-packed action, as you can see, September 1939. Are you kidding me? So this is the fourth issue of Batman, 27, 28, 29, 30, 30 fifth issue of Batman. And, of course, we say, look at this great Bob Kane cover. And we all know that Bob Kane didn't draw this. I'm not sure who did, but I can almost guarantee you that it wasn't Bob Kane. Bob Kane was the ultimate businessman, took credit and, hired staff people to do work for him. And then he took all the credit, the glory, and the money. So you got to give him credit for being savvy. But anyway, interesting. Now, this is looks like this is a part of a, oh, doggone it, a thing, thing that those people do. A pedigree book. Thank you very much, Aaron. Called the Paperboy Collection, which I can only assume means that this was a collection of comics that a paperboy probably held on to over the years. But I don't know anything about the Paperboy Collection, but I do know this is one of the high. There's a 8.5, an 8.0, and then 2 7.0s. So this is one of the 4 highest graded copies out there. This also features the first Bat plane, the first appearance of the Monk, and Julie Madison, who was Bruce Wayne's first girlfriend right there, Julie Madison. Gardner Fox and Jerry Siegel did the stories. Fred Gardner and Joe Shuster did the art. Bob Kane did cover and art. And I think we just know that's not true. But anyway, this is a pretty, this is a pretty intense dust shadow here. a lot of staining here. I don't know if that's mold or what that is. But otherwise pretty pretty flat and clean in terms of, you know, creasing and things like that. So I guess for a 1939 book, it's in pretty nice shape. But there you have, that's a 7.0. And let's go to our friends over at Go Collect and see what they have to say about all of this craziness. And it's not going to switch over on me, you lousy. All right, let's try this way. Here we go. All right, so as we see over here, we have 112 graded copies. Not a lot. So there's no 9.2 that we know of. There's an 8. There's no 8. Oh, I thought there was an 8.5. There is no 8.5. Where was I getting these numbers? Oh, okay, I see. So there's one 8.0. There's one 7.5. And there's two 7.0s. Now, of course, there's raw copies, I'm sure, floating around. But in terms of graded CGC books, that's not very many. And so the highest graded one is an 8.0. Now, I don't know if that's the Mile High copy or not. From what I shouldn't say from what I understand, but kind of the sense I was getting from what little I could find on it, that the Mile High is probably a raw copy and hasn't been graded because they were speculating on the condition of it. But they assumed it was in that 7.5 to 8.0 range, maybe 8.5, but I don't know that there's a 9.2 anybody's even aware of floating around out there. So really, this one, the 7.0, is right at the top of the scale. Now, if you look at your prices here, there's really been no activity. Like a 5.5 sold in 2009 for 26 grand. But we have to look at this 5.0, which sold recently within a year, I think, or 2 years, 175 grand. That's where we got to start, right? This 3.0 actually sold within a year at 134, a 3.0. That is a, well, let's see, 4.0 is a VG. That's a VG minus. So that's a good VG, a GVG. So, you know, pretty worn copy for 135 grand. So what is that 7.0 worth? I have no freaking idea. Well, 5.0 is 175, and that sale, I think, let's take a look. That sale was 2024, so almost 2 years ago. That sold for 175,000. So that was after the COVID boom. And so we can assume that's a fairly accurate price right there. So my guess would be 2 years ago, everything's kind of leveled off recently. So I'm probably not worth a ton more than that right now. Probably still in that neighborhood of, 175,000. But we just absolutely have no data on the 7.0, the one that we just saw listed there that I showed you. So I've got to believe we would be looking at close to $500,000 for that 7.0. And folks, that is what I like to call an expensive comic of the week. And yet another wonderful book that I will never own. But truly one of the great covers of all time, regardless of who drew it. Sequential saying that 7.0 be way more than that, because that's at the top of the scale of the grading, right? Of the known copies. So I'm guessing anywhere from 350 to 500 is what that would go for. That would be my guess. So all righty. I always love looking at comic books that I'd love to have, but can't afford. It just adds to my already prominent feelings of inadequacy. I had the weirdest dream last night. So, you know that chick that was in what was that horror movie where all the kids ran around with their arms at their sides? What was that called? Anyway, that blonde chick, and she was in The Wolfman too, that actress. Well, she was in my dream, or someone that looked a lot like her. And there was something going on. I don't know what, but we were in like this outside parking area, and there was a cyclone fence and, surrounding this parking area. And I went in and parked behind this small truck, and actually dinged the back of it. And the truck then rolled down the hill and smashed into the cyclone fence. And it turned out that the person that owned this truck was this woman from that movie. Paul Taylor says, Aaron had a dream where everyone knew who he was. That was definitely a dream. So anyway, so now I'm like, oh my gosh, now, it's one of those stress dreams where you're like, okay, now I've got to pay for this person's damage to their car. And it's like, if they had their emergency brake on, it wouldn't have rolled down the hill and into this fence and got worse damage. So they come out, and her and her husband, I don't know who her husband was. He was just some rando dream dude, I don't know. But I do remember it was her, that actress from that movie. And so we, exchanged the information kind of like we would in a dream. It's all very sort of sketchy. But so I ended up taking her and her husband and then other people. And I don't know where these other people came from, but they were we had this gigantic like car thing that held all these people. It was almost like a Mad Max thing. It was just this huge, boat like car thing. And so I'm driving these home, and I go, okay, so where do you guys live? And they said someplace that was like hours away. And I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. So I asked them, I said, look, did you guys check your car to see if it would drive? I mean, if it was so damaged that it wouldn't drive, or if it just was dinged a little bit and you could drive it yourself. Why am I driving you home, right? And all these other people that are in the car that I have no idea who they were. But they were commenting like, thank you very much for your opinion. I don't need it. I don't even know who you are. And so they say, no, we didn't check it. Or no, they said, she goes, that we feel that parking lot. And I found out as I questioned them that they were at some like rally, some liberal rally thing, like No King's Day or something like that. And they said the parking lot where I hit her was like sacred ground, so they couldn't drive the truck out, even though it would drive, but they couldn't drive it because it was, and I was like, sacred ground? I said, you parked in there, so it wasn't sacred ground until I hit you? So there was like this stream of logic going through my mind as I was addressing these people in my dream. It was the most, usually dreams are extremely irrational, but this was like, I was this rational, clear thinking person in this very irrational situation. So I was just like, you got to be freaking kidding me. So they wouldn't drive their car back because it was this sacred ground for some reason. And then, so I had to drive them like 4 hours, one way. I mean, they lived like as far away as it possibly could and still be in the state, I guess. And so we stopped for gas, and my daughter was there, and I gave her the credit card, to get the gas. So she's getting the gas. And then I'm just like, I go, give me the credit card back. And she wings it like this, and it just flies off. And so now I've lost my credit card. I got to, pay for this guy's, damaged truck. I got to drive her 4 hours back to wherever she lives. There's a bunch of weird people in my car that I don't know who they are. That are giving me all this really bad commentary and advice the whole time. I was literally going crazy. And thankfully I woke up. But wow. Yeah. Hey, this is usually, I don't remember my dreams. You guys should feel fortunate that I'm sharing this with you. I used to, No, I was not in my pink shirt. Of course, he's referring to this. I love that shirt, man. There's like, what was the Michael Keaton movie? Where he was a stay-at-home dad. What was that called? Anyway, he had that sweatshirt that he wore every day, and he finally burned it. That's pink shirt right there, salmon colored shirt. Anyway, Mr. Mom, thank you. Was it a dream or an alternative dimension? I don't know. I've had a couple dreams where I've actually, like when I was in film school, I had a dream. It's so bizarre because I had this script I was trying to write. Trying to write and turn in, and I couldn't get it together. I couldn't quite figure out all the pieces, and I literally dreamt the movie, and I woke up and it was like clear, and I was like, holy crap. And then I wrote it all down, and that's how I finished the script. So I actually dreamt it. It was pretty cool, but that happens so rarely. I just usually have these weird dreams, and when the second you wake up, it's all clear and you're like, holy crap. But then within 15 to 20 minutes, it gets really fuzzy, and then it doesn't start really making sense in your head. And then you start forgetting it. And it's, anyway, I guess I should have been a psychiatrist or something. I don't know. Marcus, you're pushing my buttons today. Okay. Just stew on that a little bit. Why don't you? Okay. So anyway, what did we just do? Oh, we did expensive comic. That means it's time for a commercial break, which I know you've all been dying for. Doggone it. There it is. All right, let's try this. Yeah, Barbaric Adventures. So we've been crawling up the ladder here of backers. And of course, our goal is to get to the mighty 400 in short order so we can raffle off another piece of original artwork. We are 19 backers away. This is it's interesting. It's a very small financial campaign so far, but it's a very big book. And they don't seem to be matching. So if you haven't backed, please consider doing so. This is a majorly cool book. And but anyway, let's take a look at it real quickly. What it is it's a 64-page square-bound magazine format. That's 8.5 by 11 to you commenters out there. It's black and white. The interiors are, of course, but with tonal rendering. So it's just it's more of it gives a little bit more depth. It feels like it's coloring. But it's gray coloring as opposed to color coloring. So if you were, say, colorblind, this would be the perfect book for you. It's kind of a throwback to the 70s Savage Tales books. I wanted to do something like that. I wanted to do something like that my whole career, and I'm finally doing it. I didn't get to do it at Marvel, but here I am doing it now. And it's features stories by me, David Williams, and Dan Lawless, and some contributions by Gary Martin, and maybe a few other people will throw in a few things. I am debuting my new title, Primal Zone, which is the story of a reluctant hero cast into an interdimensional world of dinosaurs and cavemen. I wrote in there the story of a reluctant hero. I don't really know if that's true. He's not really a reluctant hero, but it just sounded good. I needed an adjective. So, but anyway, the interdimensional dinosaurs and cavemen is actually very accurate. David Williams is introducing us to the story of a young medieval knight who battles a horde of demons in a quest to become a true warrior. And finally, Dan Lawless takes us to a futuristic Mars where high-tech society has fallen into savage chaos, and one man leads a rebellion to defeat the corrupt powers that have seized control. That is a really good elevator pitch, and I wrote it myself. Also, you'll see that Gary is contributing the inside front cover pinup, and there'll be some other bonus stuff in there, like a short story featuring Freya, the Ice Princess, from the Ice Kingdom, and she's a Yeti slayer. So it's talk about Savage Tales type stuff. Yeah, right on the money right there, baby. And I've got some other people have said, hey, let me do a drawing for it. And I go, well, as long as you don't expect me to pay you for it. So we'll see. Anyway, you got 4 cover options. This right here, you can see it's behind me, still sitting on that easel. That's cover A, featuring Primal Zone, my story in the book. This is David's medieval knight story. This is Dan's Mars Madness story. That's his cover. And then, of course, we got Joe Jusko, our special guest artist, showing a grotesquely beheaded Yeti by Freya, the Ice Princess. So those are your 4 cover options. You'll see over on the right, you'll see the 4-pack plus there. That will give you all 4 covers, plus the 8.5 by 11, 32-page sketchbook, the Barbaric sketchbook, for $105. That's a $15 value. Let me try that again. It's it's a $15 savings on a $120 value. That's what I'm trying to say. Here's some of the original art from the interior of my story, Primal Zone, the Alpha Gauntlet. There it is. I just finished another page to this, which I want to show you, but I don't think I'm going to. This is 2 pages from Dan's Mars Madness story. We don't have any finished art from David yet, but it's coming. The other good deal besides the 4-pack plus is this big Barbaric box, which features 2 items that you can't get anywhere else in the campaign. One is this portfolio featuring these 3 color and 1 black and white prints that come together in this print set in an illustrated envelope, which I'll have a new illustration on it that you've never seen before because I haven't drawn it yet. And then this cover E is only available in the big Barbaric box. This is not the finished painting. This is simply a color sketch. And in fact, I will show you, I'm working on that right now, and we will show you that in a little bit. Just hang tight. Hang tight, folks. This is the Barbaric sketchbook. This is the Snow Hunt print, signed by me. You can get a shot glass with Barbaric Adventures laser etched into the glass. They're very cool. This is number 5 in a series of 6 shot glasses. Original art for sale. I did this with David on the AD 2026 show, and it's already sold. This is still available. The page 1 and page 2 are available, and my cover is actually up for sale. How about that? If you keep scrolling down, you'll get your rewards that you can order. Here's the 4-pack plus, the shot glass. Each of the covers, you can just buy 1 cover if that's what you feel you need to do. Pick your favorite. Or if you want a combo pack, you can get my cover with the sketchbook signed by me for $40. That's a $5 savings. Or you can get the Barbaric my cover, Barbaric Adventures my cover, the Barbaric Adventures sketchbook, and the Snow Hunt print of the latter 2 signed by me for $55. That's another $5 savings. And then the big Barbaric box, everything in the campaign, all 4 covers, the shot glass, the Snow Hunt print, the sketchbook, plus the 5th cover only available in the big Barbaric box, and this really nice portfolio in an illustrated envelope, only available in the big Barbaric box. Keep scrolling down. This is all the original art. As you can see, a lot of this is gray, so that means it's sold, but there's a few pieces left that have not sold. I might put up more as we draw closer to the end of the campaign, which is just a little over 2 weeks away now. Here's all the add-ons: the sketchbook, the shot glass, Snow Hunt print, Saved from the Trash, a legendary sketchbook of mine all the way back from like 2009 or something like that. Maybe before that, 2007. It's a pretty good sketchbook, though. You can also get Wraith of God 1, 2, and 3 if you missed those. Kit Carter graphic novel, Garbage Man trade paperback, Power Cube trade paperback. If you've missed any of this stuff from the Lopresti verse, they're right here at your fingertips. You can get all 4 covers and also the Kit Carter sketchbook, which is exactly the same size as the Barbaric Adventures sketchbook. So they're like companion pieces right there on your coffee table or your bookshelf. Anyway, there you go. That's the campaign. That's what I'm pushing. This is really cool. Don't miss out. If you haven't backed, get over there and back. You'll find a link in the description of this video that will take you right to the campaign. It's also pinned near the top of the chat. And if you're watching on X, of course, you can go to my profile page. You'll find a link there. Or you can just go over to Indiegogo and type in Barbaric Adventures or Aaron Lopresti, and it'll take you to the campaign. Once again, as you see here, we have 381 backers. That means we get 19 more backers, and we will raffle off some original artwork to one lucky backer. Thank you guys all very much for supporting the campaign, for sharing the campaign, for promoting the campaign, and for backing the campaign. So we have a couple weeks to go here, so let's push really hard and see if we can get those numbers up a little bit, or even a lot would be nice. Okay, there we go. Let's talk about the I should have my itinerary for the show should be like right here, so I don't have to like look over here. I can just kind of slyly corner of the eye go, okay, that's what's next. Someday this will seem like a professional show to you guys at some point, but today it's not that day. Okay, let's go back, travel way back to 1934. As you can see, I forgot to change the date on the Academy Awards intro, so to forgive me. 1934, that was the first year where it was just 1 year. All the other years, as you recall, 26, 27, 27, 28, 28, 29, or how'd they do it? They went 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, and now 34 was just on its own. 35, 36, they were all on their own. So I guess landmark in sort of that regard. Now, what I'm using for references, we're just going to do 1 year at a time because I don't want to do like try to cram in 3 or 4 because there's just so much good stuff here. I'm using the Academy Awards. They're revised and updated back in 2007, so it's not exactly updated. But this is a wealth of information that I will now share some of with you. So the big winner that year, of course, was the classic and really sort of the first romantic comedy of any note. And that was, of course, the Frank Capra directed It Happened One Night. So together for the first time, Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert. Pretty nice movie poster. I never thought Claudette Colbert was all that attractive. But what are you going to do? Nobody cares what I think. So this ceremony for this Oscars in 1934 was February 27th, 1935 at the Biltmore Hotel. The Biltmore Bowl in the Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles. The host was Irving S. Cobb. Not really sure who that was, and nor do I care. This is a really good story. So allow me to recount it to you. Shirley Temple presented an Oscar, and she was the youngest ever to attend the Oscars at that point. And they had a record of 1,000 attendees, so it was starting to get big. It was an edge-of-your-seat crowd, it says here, eager to watch the Academy nominating committee eat crow when Bette Davis won. Okay, now this is the interesting thing. Let's jump ahead here. They were still only nominating 3 actors and 3 actresses. They didn't even have Best Supporting Actor at this point. So the actresses that were nominated were Claudette Colbert for It Happened One Night, Grace Moore for One Night of Love, and once again, Norma Shearer in The Barretts of Wimpole. Sounds like a real winner. So those are the only 3 nominated. So where does Bette Davis fit into all this? Well, let me tell you. In fact, let me bring up a young Bette Davis so you guys know who I'm talking about here. There we go. There's a young Betty Davis from 1934. As Gary pointed out in Graybeards, didn't age well, but was cute-ish, attractive-ish back in the day, I suppose. Anyway, so she wasn't nominated initially, right? So the nominating committee, people wanted to see the nominating committee eat crow when Betty Davis won. She had been a sensation in the movie Of Human Bondage. Okay. And outrage swept through Hollywood when her performance failed to make the ballot. So everybody was just pissed. How could you have not nominated Betty Davis for Best Actor for Of Human Bondage? Now, the sustained outcry forced the Academy's hand, and it agreed to the first sanctioned write-in. Davis was present at the ceremony, though none of her official competitors were. They'd read the writing on the wall and didn't want to suffer the embarrassment of her populist victory. So in other words, the Academy, everybody was so outraged that she did not get nominated. The Academy allowed a write-in vote. I don't know who was allowed to write in this vote or whatever, but so the word on the street was Betty Davis should win this award. She's going to win this award. Everybody heard it, even though she wasn't officially nominated. So none of the other actresses even showed up to the Academy Awards that year because Betty Davis was the shoo-in winner, right? Not so fast, my friends. Claudette Colbert was already at the train station in LA waiting for the super chief to speed her off to New York for a holiday. Okay. And as they say here, a funny thing happened on the way to this surefire route. It began when Robert Riskin picked up an Oscar for his screenplay for It Happened One Night. He wasn't there either. But last year's big loser, Frank Capra, was. So he had lost the year before, but he was there this year. Of course, the director of It Happened One Night. Still smarting from the humiliation of having mistaken Frank Lloyd's name for his own. So in the previous year, Frank Lloyd won Best Director. Capra heard Frank and thought he had won and started walking up and then realized that he hadn't won. It's kind of embarrassing. So Capra wasn't quick to jump when Irving Cobb tore open the Best Director envelope and teased, "Come on up and get it, Frank." But this time it was for real. It Happened One Night had beaten the odds. So now you have Best Screenplay, Best Director wins for It Happened One Night. And you got Betty Davis sitting there in the audience, and none of the other actresses that were nominated are there. Now, Clark Gable won then for Best Actor for It Happened One Night. And so then get a load of this. As for Colbert, the event mirrored a climactic scene from one of her own movies. An Academy official rushed to the train depot, to fetch her and had to convince her that the Oscar was the Nobel Prize of the industry, before she agreed to be rushed back to the Biltmore on a sidecar of a police motorcycle. So back then, no one cared about the Academy Awards, not even the actors. I mean, maybe some of them did. I guess winning it would be great, but they had to convince Claudette Colbert, who was nominated and looked like she might win, despite everybody thinking Betty Davis was going to win on this write-in vote, that they rushed her back on the sidecar of a cop motorcycle. Can you imagine? Dazed and breathless, she accepted the award from Shirley Temple, who stood on a chair to greet her, smile to smile. With that, Colbert was off like a shot to catch her train. Even Betty Davis joined in the sustained applause. She knew a great entrance and even a better exit when she saw one. So Betty Davis, who everybody thought was going to win, didn't win. Claudette Colbert did win, but she wasn't there, and they had to go get her from the train station and rush her back in the sidecar of a police motorcycle to collect her award. Oh, That's incredible. Here's another shot just for the for sake of you guys. Like, that's Betty Davis. Now she looks pretty good there. This is Betty Davis in Of Human Bondage. I can't imagine, she must have been pretty freaking young, like in her 20s. Betty Davis is one of those women that even when she was like in her 30s, she looked like she was in her 50s. She did not age well. Heck of an actor, though, or actress. Okay, so Claudette Colbert wins Best Actress. It Happened One Night absolutely freaking cleans up, steals all the awards. There's Claudette Colbert and Clark Gable in a scene. Now it says here the film took all the awards at the Oscars, but it didn't make enough money to be held over for a second week at the Radio City. I assume that's Music Hall where it was showing. Until word of mouth got around, the critics loved it. So it became a hit sort of after the fact. And this was like the beginning of Frank Capra's like tremendous career. So you have Clark Gable wins for Best Actor, Claudette Colbert for Best Actress. Shirley Temple got an honorary award, which is interesting that like that early in her career that she would have got an honorary award. But anyway, so Clark Gable was nominated. Frank Morgan, who you might remember as the Wizard of Oz, and he was nominated for The Affairs of Selene. And William Powell was nominated for The Thin Man. How about that? It was a good movie. Actually, It Happened One Night. If you haven't seen it, it's a fantastic romantic comedy. If you're into that, really, really good. So here's all the pictures. Listen to all the pictures that were nominated. The Barretts of Wimpole Street, Cleopatra. Man, how many times they remade that? Flirtation Walk, The Gay Divorcee, and I don't think that means what it means today. I think it means The Happy Divorcee. Here Comes the Navy, The House of Rothschild, Imitation of Life, It Happened One Night, which won. One Night of Love, The Thin Man, which is a very good movie, by the way. Villa Villa, the White Parade. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 movies got nominated for Best Picture. Come on, guys, reel it in a little bit, will you? So anyway, let's take a look in here before we jump out of here. Let's take a look at a little of the Hollywood Babylon that was going on in 1934. Now, a couple of things. They say Sins of Omission. The Scarlet Empress did not get nominated for Best Picture. Not familiar with that film, but that apparently was a big deal that it didn't get nominated. And then, of course, Betty Davis of Human Bondage did not get nominated for Best Actress. And then to a point where they actually thought she was going to win. And then, of course, she didn't win. But and then Myrna Loy for The Thin Man didn't get nominated. So I don't know when they start nominating more than 3 people. It's still a while yet. But here we go. According to Columbia's Harry Cohn, he said all that French broad cares about is money. Talking about Claudette Colbert, they had to pay her $50,000 for 4 weeks' work on It Happened in One Night. So 1934, that was a lot of cash. Claudette Colbert hated the left side of her face and once painted it green to ensure that the cameraman wouldn't shoot it. That's pretty funny. Claudette Colbert claimed that her longtime marriage to an Arizona physician was a success because she and her husband retained separate residences. A bisexual, she counted the ubiquitous Marlene Dietrich among her lovers. Wow. See, Hollywood was just as immoral and corrupt as it is today. It's just they didn't know about it back then because they hid all this stuff. Carol Lombard, who tragically died very young, like at age 32, I think, and was married to Clark Gable, said about Clark Gable, listen, he's no Clark Gable at home. And then here's a quote. They call me the king of Hollywood. I'm underendowed. I've got a mouthful of false teeth and bad breath, said Clark Gable. And Betty Davis was convinced that she lost out the Academy Award thanks to Jack Warner's order that Warner Brothers employees not vote for her. He was irate because her great shot to stardom in Of Human Bondage was the result of a loan out to RKO. So look at that pettiness. They loan her out, which they used to do because all these actors and actresses were under contract and directors to certain studios. Well, if they didn't have any work for them and another studio wanted to use them, they would loan them out, meaning this studio would pay a fee to use this person in their film. So on a loan out, Betty Davis did Of Human Bondage, did this great performance. Then Jack Warner was all pissed off because he had loaned her out for this successful movie to another studio and told everybody not to vote for her, which is probably exactly what happened. But anyway, Claudette Colbert gets the award, and that's just history now. So there you go. Some interesting stuff. Darren Wagner says, we need to bring broads back as a slang for women. I think so. Everybody nailed Marlene. That is true. Gemini Dragon says, is that Bigfoot behind Gable's left arm? It might be. You literally could. Well, that's his right arm. Claudette Colbert doesn't quite look like Bigfoot. All right. So anyway, I'm incredibly fascinated by Hollywood, especially old Hollywood. I hope you guys are too. If you're not, you just have to suffer through this segment every week. Okay. All righty. So where are we at? Oh, see, I looked over there, but my list is right here. Oh, it's now time for a little sharing of the artwork that I like to call sorry, I had to take a moment to blow my nose. Crazy cold. Okay. What are we going to start with? Well, this is kind of a lie because none of this stuff is in my flat file, but it is artwork. Let's take a look. In case you missed recent events, this is the animated Batman, Mask of the Phantasm that I did because we were doing movie Batman on Graybeards. Now, David did a really nice rendition of Michael Keaton's Batman. Dan did a nice rendition of Christian Bale Batman, and then I did the Bruce Timm Mask of the Phantasm, which kind of people thought was sort of a little cheating, but I'm like, no, it was a feature film. So I got to do it, and that's what I did. And there you have it, for better or for worse. My latest, and I say latest because I win so much I lose track, but my latest victory on Kings Monday night was for this Johnny Quest, Johnny Haji, and Jade, Race Bannon's on and off again girlfriend, the very deadly Jade. Jezebel Jade, I believe, is her full name. So anyway, there you go. That was what I did on Monday night. And then on my AD 20, I got a lot of shows, AD 2026, where all I'm doing is draw streams with David, and all we're doing is drawing stuff related to Barbaric Adventures. I did this piece over the course of 2 shows. The last one I markered it up, and that's of Celia, the cave girl, who's, well, not really a cave girl, but you have to read the story. Anyway, I put this up on the campaign page and it sold almost immediately. So thank you for that. And looking for any way to infuse more cash in to the campaign so I don't lose too much money on this project. But anyway, so that was a fun little project. I love drawing this stuff. I'm, as you all know, very much a Frazetta guy. And so anything that is even remotely Frazetta in subject matter, I'm all over it. So, you know, someone else who is no longer a fan of Graybeards, because we're just a bunch of old guys telling stories, and had said that the only reason I won on Graybeards was because of my familiarity with Johnny Quest and that John Malin was pushing me. And then I said, okay, then what about the 10 other times I've won? So I got a little uppity. I took exception to that remark. Okay, so I'm working on this cover, right? This is the new cover painting. Oops. So it's going to be 24 by 18. I don't know how well you can see this, but okay. Now this is just, I got to go in and tighten up these pencils on here. And then I've got to ink it with, when I say ink it, I mean with acrylic paint, which is basically what I did with this. I transferred the drawing on here, tightened it up as much as I needed to. And then I went over it like these lines here are acrylic, basically like sepia tone, like you would ink a drawing, but you know, with acrylic paint, and then painted it over the top of that. So how did I do it? Well, my dog's going nuts. Okay, so what I did was, this is the color rough, okay, of the cover, and I printed it out on up to size, with close to what the original size of the original painting would be. Oh my gosh. My apologies. I don't know how that door always gets open when I'm doing the show. But anyway, so I tried to print it out in two pieces, taped it together. Then I took individual pieces of 11 by 17 copy paper, right? And then I light tabled each character on here. Okay. So like this face, our main dude right here, the cave guys here, Celia's right there, the Pteranodon or whatever the heck this thing is right there. So they're each on a separate piece of paper. And then took these wonderful little things that David Williams made me aware of that actually existed. And I kind of figured they probably did, but for some reason it didn't clue into them. These little sheets of graphite paper, right? I think you can see the indentation there of the drawing. So basically, took this, put it down on the canvas where I wanted it, stuck this underneath it, and then redrew over the top of it, thus transferring the pencil to the canvas. And then after all of that, I've got this. And so I will tighten this drawing up, clean it up, and then I will start painting. And hopefully I'll have at least the acrylic underpainting done by Graybeard so I can show you what that looks like. But this will be the cover that appears in, it's only available in the Big Barbaric box on the campaign. Will be this cover. You'll only be able to get it there. So it's kind of a Doc Savage sort of idea, you know, James Bama, Doc Savage kind of painting. And so I'm actually looking forward to doing that. But anyway, how about that? That is your stuff lurking in my flat files when they're actually not in my flat files because they're not old enough to be in my flat files, but it's still, you know, there you go. Paul Taylor says, looks like carbon paper. That's exactly what it is. Can't hear anything, Aaron. Can you not hear anything? Can you not hear me speak? Oh, you're talking about the dog. Okay, the dog was going nuts down there, but Darren Wagner says, I love your smugness, Aaron, your wonderful, charming smugness. I try not to be that way, but sometimes I get pissed off. And then I start getting a little smug. And there you go. So anyway, just, you know, be nice to me. Don't piss me off. And then I don't have to get all uppity. All right. So there we go. Where are we at? What are we even talking about? Okay, covers. How about this? We're well into the 90s now of cover artists to feature. And I started making a list because sometimes I get and I go, who am I forgetting? Who am I forgetting? So I thought maybe if I could keep track. And then this guy's name came up and I went, of course. Lee Weeks is one of those guys who's more of an artist. You know, he doesn't really have a prominent style, but he's really good. And so all the artists love him. I assume the fans do too, because he's, you know, he's done a lot of big books. And so they associate that name with big stuff. But so anyway, we're going to take a look at some of his covers that I really like. Now, of course, they may not be the covers that you really like. And of course, your mileage may vary, but let's take a look, shall we? Now, this is from a series that I would never read, but I really like this cover. Anytime you see a cover like this, you can pretty much guess that Superman is not fighting anybody on the inside of this. He's hanging around feeling sorry for himself or whatever. I don't know. I have no idea. But that is such a great dramatic piece. So well drawn. The figure work is excellent. The interesting thing about Lee Weeks is very rough line work, like very sort of Al Williams-y, right? In the way that he inks and stuff. It's very loose, but the drawing is so strong. So you got a guy here that's not necessarily reliant on stylization. He's reliant on really good drawing and really good composition. And this is an excellent composition. So anyway, that's the kind of stuff that just from an artistic standpoint, you look at and go, that's pretty cool. Even though he's not really doing anything, you know, but it's just a really nice illustration. Now this one has, this again is like, it's really more about how good the design is. It has a little bit more action in it, in that you got Superman or Batman kind of jumping out at you or toward you, and kind of Superman standing back there in the buildings and everything. But the design of this cover is so nice that it really caught my eye. And again, you don't have hardly any detail at all in the figure, but it's so well drawn that it doesn't matter. And you got a little bit of detail in Superman, but again, not much. It's just really strong figure work and really great design. This is incredibly dramatic. And again, well designed, well executed. Mostly black, mostly shadows here, but really, really interesting. It's a great thing about his work is always really interesting to look at. You know, it's not necessarily always the most dynamic, but it's really interesting and so well designed. And it's just well drawn. You can say what you want about this storyline, and I would have plenty to say if I was a critic, but I'm not. This is a great cover. The cool, stark design of this is just so good. I just like, look at who would think if you drew this, would you think to put Catwoman in this position? I wouldn't. It would never occur to me. Maybe Batman in this position, but not Catwoman in this. That just the turning of her figure, it's just so nice. See, when you draw this well and your design is that strong, you don't really need this superfluous detail because the drawing is just so good. I think a lot of people remember this one. This is on here more so just because it's kind of a classic. I think it is. This The Bullet for the Punisher, way back 1991. Daredevil holding up that gun, standing over a allegedly dead Punisher. Look at all that black in there. Henry Angelus says, looks like Romita Jr. They're very similar in their approaches, although Romita Jr.'s figure work is much more, I think, broader and stylized than Lee Weeks is more accurately realistic in that sense. But they do have kind of similar qualities. For sure. This is another one that's very classic, I think. And again, very simple, but very well designed. And that's that. I actually bought this one. So I was like, ooh, issue 300, better get it. And it had a really good cover. You've got Kingpin down there, all distressed. And it's so funny because you take a look at Frank Miller, John Romita Jr., Lee Weeks, and they all sort of, you could run those three guys together, you know, have each one do 20 issues, and there would be very little. I mean, they're all different, but they're so very similar, at least at this stages in their careers, that they almost seamlessly go together. All of them have really good sense of design. They all have a much looser sort of style and approach to their finished work. Paul Taylor says Kingpin hardly looks fat. No, he was on a diet in this one, I think. Okay, now we get into some of my favorites. Who was I just talking to that I'm not going to say, but didn't like Lee Weeks' Hulk? And I was like, dude, I love his Hulk because it's so Kirby-like and so like Frankenstein monster-y like. I love this cover with Fin Fang Foom and the Hulk there. And this is very much a Kirby Hulk, you know, where he's kind of more, he's got a big head. He's kind of a thick body, but he's not like this giant, like Dale drew him, like this giant Hulk monster. He's more of a, you know, he looks like he's maybe about 6'5" and 350 pound kind of guy, as opposed to, well, more than that, like a 450 pound guy. I just, I don't know. I like usually I would draw the Hulk much bigger, but I love how he's sort of captured that Kirby look, but still, I love the way he does the Hulk's face. And faces for me, always the most important thing. Here's another one. This is a very simple cover of him just walking out of the water, that rain and everything though, but I love that face. And again, it's very sort of Kirby-esque. Look at this. Look at the chunky shapes that make up the shadows on his arms. It's just so like rough and like unrefined, but so much energy. I remember I seen this cover going, ooh, that's cool. I like that. This is a more recent one. I remember seeing this going, that is a really well executed cover. Superman Unchained with him. Again, great design, not overly dynamic, well drawn, nicely designed. And that in and of itself makes it an eye-catching cover. Nice placement of blacks and shadow in there. You can see there's not a ton of detail on this. It's just very just well put together drawing. This was a variant, I believe. And it's so like I don't want to say cliche. I'm going to say cliche, but not in a sense that it's bad, that we've seen this before. But that's like, you know, if you take back the 1940s Superman, you know, oh, there's a kid trapped underneath the car, you know, and he's picking up the car to save the little kid. It's just such a maybe classic is what I'm looking for, not cliche, but classic approach to Superman and the storytelling on this cover. And this was fairly modern. This cover I really like. I don't know if it's my favorite. Those Hulk covers are probably some of my favorite, but I really like this cover. I just think the design, the lighting, this is freaking awesome. This, I don't know why I pulled up the image that didn't have the cover logo on it, so I don't remember which issue of Batman this was, but it was that Tom King storyline that I bought it because of Lee Weeks' artwork, but it's like it was really interesting because I'm trying not to be critical, but the story was that Batman captures Mr. Freeze, turns him in, Mr. Freeze on trial, and then Batman discovers that maybe he made a mistake, and so he gets on the jury, and it's kind of turns into 12 Angry Men or like an episode of Law and Order where he tries to vindicate Mr. Freeze and try to convince the jury that he's not guilty. So it was a story that it was interesting to read from an adult standpoint, but when I was a kid, I've been really disappointed because there's hardly any Batman in it. And also, in typical Tom King fashion, Bruce Wayne spills his guts to the jury members, which he would never do. And so it was, I don't know, but it was interesting, the concept. And I thought that, you know, but regardless of whether you like the story or not, this is freaking awesome cover. And the artwork in it was great because Lee Weeks drew it, even though it was mostly in a jury room and a courtroom. Great stuff. So Agent Cub, of course, talking about the I think it was 51, the cover we just looked at. I think it was 51. Agent Cub says Superman wasn't saving the kid. He was about to drop the truck on him. Okay. See? A little insight. That's what I come to you guys for, because you guys have insight that I don't. The show's going to go a little shorter today than normal just because of I'm tired of sniffing my nose. So we're going to jump right in to our final segment of the day. Yes, it is, of course, once again, time for not finding Bigfoot. Now, a couple of weeks ago, of course, I brought up the question, is Bigfoot dead? Because of the hardly seen new documentary that debunks the Patterson-Gimlin film. Okay. And if you're at home saying, Aaron, what are you talking about? I mean, well, let's just take a look at it again. Now, when I was a kid, I thought this was, good stuff. But as an adult, the more I saw it, I was like, this is fake. But anyway, so it's not a big shock to me that there's a documentary out there alleging that this whole thing is fake, and then they allegedly have proof. I haven't seen the documentary. But anyway, so, and of course, the whole thing is, well, my gosh, if this is fake, this is, the Bigfoot mythos isn't entirely based on this film, but this being the one real solid piece of evidence that we have that Bigfoot exists, when everything is based on that being legit, and then we find out it's not legit, it's kind of like it blows everything up, or it can. Now, the Bigfoot disciples of Bigfoot, the people that are committed to the belief in Bigfoot regardless, are saying, no, it's still real. But come on, folks. It's been 60 years since that movie came out, and we still are no closer to being able to prove Bigfoot's reality or not. I just find that ridiculous. But yeah, so I'm cynical, but we still do this because I find Bigfoot fascinating, and I wish he were real, but I just don't think he is. So we do this in an attempt to convince me that maybe he is real, and I've been wrong this whole time. Now, Henry Jeremick says, no, the debunk video is fake. So there you go. And there's a lot of people saying that. Well, that doesn't prove anything, but maybe it doesn't. But so I brought this up to point out that there's not a lot of Bigfoot video recently that's surfacing. There's, that obviously phony AI stuff that comes out every once in a while, like Bigfoot wrestling a gator, which we looked at last week, or tackling a moose or something. So if I find those and I find them entertaining enough, I will bring those on. But in actual out in the wild, hey, look at this blurry thing of Bigfoot. There's not a ton of that stuff. But there is this. I feel like maybe I've shown this before, but the more I looked at it, I wasn't sure. So I thought, better safe than sorry. Let's take a look at this. I simply call this Bigfoot in the trees. Okay, so here we go. Now, what this lady is saying, it's her and her husband or boyfriend, whatever. It's a guy and a woman that are filming this, and it's the woman talking. So, and they're putting her words up on screen. I can't play the audio because I'll get struck, but you guys can read it. And So there's Bigfoot right there. Look at that. He looks like a cone head from Saturday Night Live right there. There he is. See him hiding behind the tree there? Pretty convinced this is a guy in a suit. But what is baffling to me is, okay, you're holding up the phone or the camera, right? You know Bigfoot is right here. Why are you all the way over here to the left when you should be over here to the right? I don't really understand that. But look, she says, oh, he's flying against us. I know. We come in peace. She's yelling to Bigfoot, we come in peace. We come in peace. And then the guy says, I can't zoom any more than this. But she's like, we come in peace. And it's like, come on, man, seriously. But anyway, so I don't know. What do you think? Is that just like a conehead suit, or is that actually Bigfoot? Bobbing up and down. I question the camera work here, though. Why? Even if this is a guy in a suit, which we assume it is, why is your camera over here? We want to see Bigfoot. Keep the camera over here. And then he did it again, right? He just kind of, as Bigfoot starts to walk off, he pulls the camera the wrong direction. Why? Okay, Darren Wagner's setting me straight. He says that's called a sagittal crest, not a cone head. Okay, well, excuse me, Mr. Science. Oh, no, see, Bigfoot is actually here. And that's more evidence right here that he's in the chat than we're watching on screen. But he says, she was nice. She made me a tuna fish sandwich and we talked about berry picking. So here I am making fun of this woman yelling down, we come in peace, when actually Bigfoot apparently had a really good experience with her. So I should not make fun of her, I guess, for yelling out, we come in peace. Comic Book Muscle making excuses says maybe the reason why the camera is off is because he couldn't see it due to the distance. Well, that's possible, I suppose, but it is kind of hard to film through a camera at a distance like that. But come on, at least get it. You should be able to get it like somewhat centered, don't you think? Steel Rage says Bigfoot motion for them to go away. It's like, dude, can't get any privacy. I mean, it's true. It's like, you know, maybe he's taking a whiz or something back there, and it's like, okay, now I get great. I got people filming me. Excuse me. Gemini Dragon saying that is art to bear. Is it? Do you think it is? We don't see art that much. Looking at the trees and stuff, could this be someplace in Texas? It could be. We all know that. You know, we do know that art lives in Texas, so it's possible. Now, see, and here we go. The idea here is that they didn't know they caught a Bigfoot until later on, hence it's off to the side. Wrong, Darren. That is wrong. And I'll tell you why. Because she is yelling out to him, I come in peace. We come in peace. So they know he's down there while they're filming. So that doesn't hold water. Okay, now Eric Boyd is making sense to me. The interdimensional warping threw the camera stability off. Now we've got something. Oh, Henry Angeles says, no. She was saying we come to pee. So they were going to join him in tinkling behind the trees, maybe? Okay, all right. Comic Book Muscle says, I hit the like button, didn't I? I hope you did. I hope you all hit the like button and subscribe. Where can you get this kind of content on the internet? I don't know. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's unique. The content on this channel is really unique. Okay, so let's shift gears now. That's the only Bigfoot video I have, but I do have a Dogman video. And Dogman usually wanders around Wisconsin and some of the northern states. So apparently these guys are out at night in the woods filming, and they catch this. So there he is right there. I mean, obviously you can see that. So you can see the glowing eyes, and then that's it. And then his buddy's over here looking. Now his buddy's pretty brave, because if you see, there's your, and then his buddy is like right there, like looking. I don't know that I would get that close to the dog man, which is essentially a werewolf, right? I mean, isn't that what a dog man is? You're going to go up behind a werewolf and go, hey, dude, what are you doing? No, I don't think so. I like the glowing eyes, kind of horrifying. But again, I have the same problem with I do with all of these videos is we're right here on the dog man, right? For like a couple of seconds. Why are we not keeping on the dog man? Why are we suddenly blurring over here to see his buddy standing there going, hey, dude, it's a wolf man. You know, why? I don't understand. Why would you do that? Did he trip? Maybe he was so excited to see the dog man, he tripped and fell. I mean, I don't know. All seems very fishy to me. The bean pad says, aren't dogmen soldiers who were experimented on? I think that was a movie, wasn't it? Like army guys. Yeah. They turned into werewolves or something. Henry Angeles says he's obviously drunk and dumb. I don't know if you're talking about the cameraman or the dog man, but maybe both. Oh my gosh. Darren Wagner has got, well, you know, Darren Wagner, don't you have a book, right? Called, help me out, Darren. What is the name of your book? And it's on Fund My Comic right now. It's something about Bigfoot. Tell me, I'll give you a plug. Tell me what the name of your book is. He says the dog man is a cynocephali, not a werewolf. Okay, you're splitting hairs with me, I think. There it is. Demi-foot urban Sasquatch live on Fund My Comic right now. You guys, if you're really into this, you'll want to get into that. So check out Darren's book on Fund My Comic. There you go, Marcus Killer Group putting up the link. Thank you for that, Marcus. Appreciate that. So I don't even know what that word means. What did you say it was? A cephalus? What did you say it was? Do I have to look that up? What does that even mean? Cynocephali. What the heck does that even mean? So wait a minute. So cryptids are basically the study of imaginary creatures. So it's not really a science at all. I can be a cryptozoologist because anybody can be an expert on stuff that doesn't exist. Okay. So, but now we have specific words to describe stuff that doesn't exist. Now that's just cynical me. Maybe they do exist and I just refuse to believe it. But what is cynocephali? Cynocephali, right? Isn't that what it said? Isn't that, what does that mean? Here we go. Gemini Dragon says, the cynocephali, see, are mythical race of dog-headed humanoids that appear in the folklore of many cultures. Thank you, Gemini Dragon, for enlightening to me. Cynocephali is from Bali. Oh my gosh. Cynocephali from Bali. Okay, I'm not saying that anymore. Even at Christmas, Google it. I'm not Googling. I'm too lazy. That's what I have you guys for, to set me straight. There's a Catholic saint who is a dog man, says Dale. Look at this. You guys are like, no, you should be hosting this show. Saint Christopher was said to be a dog man. Okay, but aren't we splitting hairs really? I mean, that's a wolf man, right? I mean, is there really that? What's the difference between a dog man and a werewolf or a wolf man? There's very little as far as I can see. I think we're just splitting hairs with that. So anyway, you guys will have to judge. Let's take one more look and see this guy here. See, you can kind of see they got the glowing eye. Is that like a mouth down there? I think so. Like maybe a snout. Kind of could be doggish manish. So anyway. There you go. Oh, I see. The dog man is good. The werewolf is evil. Darren Wagner says a werewolf turns into a monster. Okay, that's right. So it's a guy turns into a werewolf or a wolf man, turns into a monster. A cynophus. Oh my word. A cynocephaly is that way all the time. So it's basically that's what it is. It's not like a guy. Okay. All right. Creative Face says the werewolf is wild, dog man is domesticated. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is TA says, okay, I'm back. You can do anime now. Okay, so we have one more here that this is a little chilling, a little frightening. I always wonder about these like alleged ghosts in the woods that these poor animals. This is, of course, taken on a infrared trail cam. So we can see the deer right here, right? So let's watch the deer and see what happens here. This is actually a series of photographs. Okay, so then we have this little ghost kid appearing, and it looks like the deer is looking right at the ghost kid. See right there? Going a little closer. This is a ghost kid, like maybe Casper or the Pillsbury Doughboy, something like that. And then the deer's like, I'm out of here. And the little ghost child is, I kind of see a face there and maybe some hair and some clothes. That's a sleeve right there. And that's the arm, maybe. So, of course, the big question is, is the ghost kid's parents? Why are they letting him walk around in the woods in the middle of the night? And why, and obviously this deer has sensory perception to know that, hey, wait a minute. That is a ghost child coming at me. I'm getting out of here. I got to pause this for a minute because things are just absolutely getting out of hand in the chat. So Iodine74 says, at least that's how it was treated in Harry Potter. Sirius Black was a dog man, but that professor was a werewolf, or was he a lichen? Now, wait a minute. Lycanthropy is werewolfism, right? So it's not like they're not like two different things, right? A werewolf would be lycanthropy is like this witchcraft sort of what do you call it? It's not a behavior, but it's it's turning a man into a wolf, right? So if you're a werewolf, then you are practicing lycanthropy, right? So they're the same thing, I think. Comic book. Oh my gosh. Bigfoot chimes in and says, the next person to win the Graybeard draw stream, you should pick Gundam or Inuyasha for them to draw. I've heard of Gundam. I have no idea what Inuyasha is, but that's up to Stealth. Stealth will be telling us what to draw, and we're going to have to do it. Yeah, thank you. Creative Face says, yes, werewolves are lycanthropes. Right? Is it right? Okay. Gemini Dragon. This is a question that everybody's pondered for centuries. If a dog man bites man, does he become a dog man? I like it. Creative Face says it's all fiction. None of this is real. Well, no, practicing werewolf, no, it's more of a curse. Again, it depends on the story, right? Because lycanthropy is like witchcraft, and it's like they would do this to turn themselves into wolves for whatever reason, I don't know. Or you're the innocent victim of the bite of a werewolf, which then turns you into a werewolf, and you don't want to be a werewolf, right? Stealth. No, I do not want a poll. We have ended the poll. No one votes in the poll anymore. So now we are making executive decisions. And then maybe sometime later, we will return to the poll. But as of right now, we are making executive decisions in Graybeards. And you are the executive for this week. So you make an executive decision. I'm just saying, don't make it so specific that we don't have a few choices. That's all that's the only restriction I'd put on you. Wait a minute. But if a werewolf, you become a werewolf. Okay, Gemini Dragon, could you put up a sentence that makes less sense? Are you trying to say if a werewolf bites you, you become a werewolf? I think is that what you're trying to say? Because that's not what you're saying. Okay, Darren Wagner, who's a cryptozoologist in the chat. We used to have another cryptozoologist in the chat. And I think he got so pissed at me because I was so cynical and making fun of this stuff that he left. But Darren's going to hang tough. He says, werewolves are human beings who turn into wolves or wolf creatures. Cynocephaly. Oh, that's okay. That's the C word that I was having such a hard time with. Cynocephaly are a race that do not transform. They are dogmen all of the time. Now, see, that's all I'm asking for, you guys, is clarity, a clear understanding of what we're talking about, because I have a very superficial knowledge of this stuff. I only go by what I see on these very convincing videos. So here we are back with the ghost child. I don't think we ever really finished this. So you see these a lot on these trail cams, like these ghost kids. I don't know why they're always kids, or maybe like you'll see a young girl in like an old night dress, not a night dress, but a nightgown, like from the 1800s or something. I wanted to do something on the melon heads, but I couldn't find any. There's no photographs of the melon heads out there. And I've already gone over the origin of the melon heads, which I suppose I could revisit because it was a while ago. But I couldn't find anything on the melon heads. And this kid here, this ghost kid or whatever he is, his head's too small, so he can't be a melon head. He's just a ghost kid out in the woods. Or the photography is so bad, it could be a normal kid out in the woods. Like right over here off camera, his family has a tent and they're camping right there. And he just walked over to see the deer. That could be also what we're looking at. Or of course, heaven forbid, the whole thing is fake. Those are your options, I think. So either ghost child, kid out camping with his parents who are just off camera, or fake. I'll let you decide. Eric Boyd says Pat Sajak has a melon head. I didn't know that. What are the kids with black eyes called? I just bought candy bars from them. I don't even know what you're talking about. Oh, Bad Adam 12, who's a big supporter of this channel and of many artists. We appreciate that very much. Bad Adam 12. He says, I wrote a song about werewolves called Lycanthropy Blues. Is that like Werewolves of London by what's his face? Let's see. Jack Nicholson. Is that like a The Shining reference there? Beanpads wants to know, does dog men chase cars? Dr. Ninja says werewolves do have more fun. So Darren Wagner says, I don't consider myself a cryptozoologist, but sure, why not? And that's my point. You can't go to school to become a cryptozoologist. That is a self-proclaimed fake science. So if you have an interest in mythological creatures or cryptids, then you are automatically a cryptozoologist because there is no education for that. So it's just kind of a self-proclaimed title. I like to think of myself as a cryptozoologist. You can as well. There you go. I should hand out from the show. I should get your cryptozoology diploma. I should do that. And you can all become like cryptozoologist, and I will send you the diploma, sign it, and you'll be a cryptozoologist as much as anybody else is. Darren Wagner says, what's worse, Aaron, is that by simply interviewing a cryptozoologist, you can call yourself one. It's almost like lycanthropy. So if I get bitten by a cryptozoologist, I become one. Badam 12 is exactly like women's studies. So, I think you're right. I could. Getting accredited is tough, but maybe it's worth. Okay. I don't know. Black-eyed kids are spooky. I don't know what you're talking about. Is that another like cryptid thing out there that I need to know about that I can research? This black-eyed kids thing? What is that? Melon heads are these kids with giant heads because they were a guy named Dr. Crow was this allegedly was this child psychologist, and he collected all these kids, I guess, from orphanages and had like this castle, this Frankenstein castle out in the woods of Connecticut, I believe it was. And he experimented on these kids and their brain functions, and of course gave them all big melon heads. And then one night they rose up and they killed Dr. Crow, burned the building down, the Frankenstein castle, whatever it was, the asylum, whatever it was, burn it to the ground, and they escaped into the woods. And so now they've turned into, and I don't understand why this is, but they've turned into cannibals living in the woods. And apparently they don't get any older. They just stay kids. So I don't understand how the logic works on all of this. But so allegedly there are these melon heads roaming around certain areas of Connecticut out in the woods. But also there is the Ohio melon heads. Now, I don't know if maybe some of the Connecticut melon heads caught a bus or a train and rode into Ohio and stayed there, because it seems unlikely you'd have two exact same origin stories in two different places. So we have to assume the melon heads originated in Connecticut, then somehow migrated to Ohio. That's all I know about the melon heads. And I think that's all there is to know about the melon heads. Gemini Dragon's onto something here. I got to start thinking out ways to make more money. Anti-Entity. Oh my gosh. When was the last time we saw Anti-Entity here? Thank you for joining us. Maybe you're here all the time. You just don't speak out. But some believe black-eyed kids are really gray aliens. Wow. This is getting interesting. Bean Pets, I've heard of lemon heads. Okay, that's a candy. I know that. I don't know. My roommate in college looked like he could have been one of the kids from Village of the Damned. He had the really kind of the super blonde, whitish blonde hair. Nice guy, though. Very funny. Luke and the Wolf Boy on the Loose still. I used to watch that television show. He wasn't a werewolf. He just hung out with the wolves. It'd be creepy if melonheads were based on something that actually happened. Allegedly, Matthew, that it is allegedly a true story, but of course there's no proof. So, but it is very creepy. I'm surprised no one's made a movie about it yet. Avenger 2 says Denzel Crocker and that Greek ancient aliens guy have the fairies and alien history thing cornered. We have on this show shown elves like 2 or 3 times, videos of elves, and some alleged either goblins or aliens that were running around naked. If you guys remember, if you've been with me for a long time, you'll remember that classic episode that freaked Shelley out. She was sitting here and we showed the alien in the parking lot, and he was running around naked and he had a big old dangler and he was just running and Shelley was like, ah, she just like rolled back from the screen because it freaked her out. So there's mysteries out there for sure. Bean pad. Were the melons from radiation accidents? No, they were experimented on by this guy named Dr. Crow. Okay, that's all I know. And he was doing like brain experiments on these kids. I don't know what his purpose was, but it basically, they, you know, made their heads larger, like an Outer Limits episode, if you guys ever watched that show back in the black and white days. And so, yeah, I don't know why they became cannibals, but I can understand why they might have killed him and burned that place down if they were sitting there getting experimented and tortured all the time. So Entity says, I'm here in Connecticut. Well, then you must know about the melon heads, right? I mean, how do you not know about the melon heads? There's supposedly, we'll just run this ghost video again while we're talking. There's supposedly like a couple of areas in one particular road that you're not supposed to go down because people go down there and they never come back, kind of thing. So, okay, so Entity has heard of the melon heads. So it is a thing in Connecticut. It's like the Jersey Devil, right? If you live in Jersey, then you must have heard of the Jersey Devil. I have not found any pictures of the melon heads yet. Somebody posted a video of, said, I don't know what it's like, melon heads caught on film or something like that. And then it's just him driving down this road for like 5 minutes and there's nothing. So I hate those videos because you're going, it's just the whole thing's a farce, right? So Henry Jeremick says no, but the Jersey Devil is real. Well, we're going to get into more of this stuff because Bigfoot, Bad M12, so like Bigfoot, no evidence. Of course, there's no evidence. There's also the lizard men. Tom Rainey, the comic book artist, Tom Rainey, told me about these lizard men in Utah that apparently live underneath shopping malls or something. I mean, I've never heard of that. So I heard that one and I've done a little research, but not a lot on that stuff either. There you go. Hydrocephalus. Isn't that? Now, wait a second. We've really gone off the rails on this. Wait a minute. Isn't hydrocephalus, isn't that what Bruce Lee died of? It's like you have too much water in your system and your kidneys can't process the water and it causes swelling in the brain. That's allegedly, there it is. That's allegedly what they're saying killed Bruce Lee. I just saw it because I was watching some Bruce Lee movies recently, and then as I get off on this tangent. And I got to get more information on Bruce Lee, right? And so that's like the latest theory on his death, because somebody was saying, well, yeah, he was having these headaches, and then he was staying with his mistress, and she gave him some pain meds or something that he OD'd on, and that's what killed him. But now they're saying no, it was the water on the brain that killed him. So that's really interesting. Bad M12 says no, it's elephant man disease. I have, are you talking about Bigfoot now? He says footprint casts with dermal ridges. I have never seen a Bigfoot print with those on them. I will look it up and see if I can find some. But I think anything can be faked. Especially in this day and age. And I think, and the whole idea that people will say, wow, there's so many stories, how could they all be lies? Because people will lie about anything for almost any reason. It's remarkable. Just go on the internet for 2 hours. It's just remarkable. People will lie for attention or anything. What I'm saying is, if you can find a giant squid in this vast ocean on this planet, and you should be able to find Bigfoot, which apparently lives in practically every state in abundance, based on all these reported sightings, and yet no one can seem to capture one or get a decent shot of one. So that is my biggest why I don't believe. It's just been too long without any real evidence. Footprints and, you know, oh, I found a pile of crap in the woods. I don't think it's a bear crap. I think it's a Bigfoot crap. I mean, that doesn't, come on, man. I hate to sound like Joe Biden, but Darren Wagner says in Wisconsin, we have a relatively, Wisconsin has dogmen too. A relatively new cryptid called not a deer. It's an aggressive deer with eyes that are in front like a predator. So it's a mutant deer. Very interesting. See? Now, I'd like to point out that on this show, we have officially debunked a couple of cryptids. One is the Loch Ness Monster, which pained me to do it, but it has been officially debunked. The other one was the Chupacabra, which we also officially debunked. And the reason being is that Loch Ness Monster, the first picture ever taken of the Loch Ness Monster was a fake. It's proven fake. They've done multiple radar scans of the entire loch and found nothing, and that pretty much seals it. And then the Chupacabra was first sighted by some woman down in South America, and the whole thing was basically a lie, and she admits to it. So the first report of a Chupacabra was fake. So therefore, every subsequent report was a fake based on the fake. So, and that was, we brought up video evidence and, some guy that debunks stuff. And, so those two are officially crossed off my list. So I can't even talk about it. I won't even talk about the Loch Ness Monster or Chupacabra anymore because they've been officially debunked. I haven't been able to debunk Bigfoot yet, nor have we been able to debunk the Dogman or the Melonheads, but when I can find evidence that actually proves that they're fake, then we can debunk them, take them off the list. But until then, we will remain as stalwart cryptozoologists seeking the truth. No, I haven't debunked the Jersey Devil either. I'm sorry, Henry Angeles is very upset. I am too. I wanted Nessie to be real, but it's out. Yes, but they never caught one on film until recently. A few years ago, the Japanese research crew actually caught one on film. And my point being, if you can somehow catch a very elusive creature like that in the wild, and the wild being the ocean, which covers up 90% of our planet, we can't find a giant ape man living in the woods. Come on, man. So I'm hopeful that someday I'll be proven wrong, but right now I'm very cynical. All right, now you're using big words again that I don't know what they mean. Personally, I think subsequent Chupacabra sightings were in fact displaced thylacines. I don't know what those are, but I'll take your word for it. If they're from Tasmania, they can't be good. Champ is still up in the air. They think there might be a seal of species of turtle that got really big. It's not a plesiosaur though, unless those are passing through dimensional time warps, which is possible. Yeah, we've done several videos on Champ out in Lake Champlain in, where's that, Illinois? And interesting. Well, we used to have a place out here in Eastern Oregon called, we still do. It's called Wallowa Lake. It's in the northeastern corner of Oregon. And there was a Wallowa Lake monster for a period of time, and it turned out to be this massive sturgeon that was in there. So it's generally what it turns out to be is something quite easily explainable. Tasmanian tiger. Okay, cool. I like that. Indiana has a giant turtle. There you go. Look at that. Giant squids attack submarines frequently. Okay, so, but my point being that giant squids are, we've allegedly had more sightings of Bigfoot than we have of giant squids, and yet we can prove giant squids' existence and can't prove Bigfoot. So, all right, I can go on like this all day. Get me off my cryptid soapbox, for crying out loud. Henry Jeremick says, too exciting for me. I think I'll watch water evaporate. I'm out. Thank you for joining us, Henry. I'm going to send us on our merry way as well. Thank you guys for joining me. What do we get? Like, that M12 for $10 says, hey, Aaron, sounds like you had a good time last night. Here's $10 towards more mushrooms. That must have been earlier in the show. Thank you for that. Appreciate it very much. Bad Adam 12. We always appreciate it. Thank you guys for the super chats. Thank you guys for participating in the greatest show on Sunday YouTube. Also be aware that we are 19 backers away from 400 for Barbaric Adventures. There's only 2 weeks left on this campaign. Get in there and back. Once we get to 400 backers, we are raffling off free artwork. You want to be a part of that? Push the agenda. Thank you guys very much. You'll find a link in the description of this video. Take you right to the campaign. It's pinned at the top of the chat. Over on X, it's on my profile page, the link. You can also go to aaronlopresti.com, my website, and you will find a link there as well. So there you have it. Thank you guys all very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening and your weekend. And we will see you right here next week on Comics, Cryptids, and Cannonballs. Good night, everybody.